So as we head into the weekend, I'm wondering what the news will be out of Chicago when we return on Monday morning. This past Monday, the headlines blared 13 dead over the Labor Day weekend, and we got the typical combination of shock and disgust. But how about this, guys? What if that headline had read 13 Labor Day lynchings? Imagine the article would go on to read something like this. It was yet another deadly weekend in the Windy City as the KKK and assorted night riders brought death and misery to black neighborhoods. Civil rights leaders and clergy have stopped pleading with local officials and are now asking the White House to respond. Well, there's no doubt this would spring Washington, D.C. into action. The imagery alone would bring shame and sadness to an entire nation. You know, not long ago I bought a book. It's called Without Sanctuary. It's photos of blacks lynched in America during my lifetime, in fact, some of them. I looked through it once. I've never been able to open that book again. So here we are with the slaughter of blacks by blacks in an era of a black president and organizations like Black Lives Matter. But since 2001, 7,916 homicides have been committed in Chicago against 6,888 in Iraq and Afghanistan combined. So to me, I know the solution, while being complex, begins with an honest look in the mirror, then action that creates safety and purpose of life, and then routes to meaningful lives. Joining me now to discuss, Steve Rogers and Jay Morrison. Jay, I want to start with you. What if the headline read something like that? Because isn't what's happening in Chicago and other places in America akin to what happened to blacks before?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to see what's happening to a lot of the young people and just citizens in Chicago and the amount of murders. We know it's due to a lack of economic, educational, and social resources, and it's due to a lack of repair for the African people in America in the city of Chicago. And I'm praying for them. I'm actually doing a lot of work on the ground to help provide options and opportunity and bring some hope to a place where they see nothing but despair.
Well, I applaud you for that. What percentage of the solution ultimately belongs within the community and what belongs outside of the community?
I always look at it as a 50-50 split, to be honest. In regards to our whole quote-unquote racial divide in our country, I believe that Africans in America, we have the utmost responsibility to be self-determined, pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, and make better lives for ourselves and our communities. However, the general population in America has to understand you can't just point the finger at the Africans in America when, after all that we've been through, a long Holocaust, Jim Crow, lynchings, black code, we can go down the whole history lesson, all the way to mass incarceration, unequal school systems, biased policing, biased sentencing, right? All that we go through, there has to be some government accountability, and government does not mean black versus white. We constantly say it's a racial divide when we talk about government accountability for Africans in America, because there's been no repair of African people after all we've been through. Right. So when I say that, I don't mean white people. I'm talking about government versus black, and we need some resources from our government to help us. But yes, as a community, we got to help ourselves, for sure.
Steve Rogers, listen, you know firsthand about the fight. You know, as a police officer and as someone who's engaged in community, you understand the challenges. What do you make of what Jay is saying and where we are right now?
Jay absolutely nailed it. It's the government versus the people. You know, first of all, you're to be applauded for always keeping the story in the forefront of the American public. And I know it's passion. It comes from your heart. And God bless you for that. But Jay's right. And what government needs to do is to stop throwing money at people thinking that money is going to solve the problem. And I know that, look, as a Republican, this may sound strange, but we need to first and foremost, let's support the public school systems in Chicago. You know, you have charter schools, fine, but you're picking a lottery.
Should Donald Trump talk today about $20 billion for states and then helping them unlock another $110 billion? Because we know education is really the key to a better life.
Yes, it is.
If the federal government is going to be involved, should it pressure these local states to enhance and create better educational opportunities in addition to keeping these people safe? Because I think without safety, and there's no such thing as prosperity.
Well, Charles, you're right. It goes down to get government, big government, out of the way and let the people in the community make the decisions on how, when, where, and what they're going to spend their money on. You leave it up to the parents. You leave it up to local school boards. Let them handle it. They know what's best for their children. And there's the beginning of planting the seeds to saving that city.
Jay, on the educational side, what are your thoughts? I mean, we know that blacks overwhelmingly vote for Democrats who are overwhelmingly in the pocket of teachers' unions, and there's been a lot of pushback against options, alternatives with education that, to me, would provide a key or one of the keys.
Well, I'm of the liking of that black people in America, we need to stop siding with the side, right wing or left wing. It's the same bird. We have the same issue. We caught hell under Democrats. We caught hell under a black president. We've caught hell under white presidents and Republicans. The issue with our country is that our country is not facing the repair needs of the African-American community. Dr. Martin Luther King said it best. It's one thing to ask a man to pull himself up by the bootstraps, but it's a cruel joke to ask a man to pull himself by the bootstraps and you didn't even provide him any boots.
Right. All right,
so
guys,
what we need is educational programs for economics.
All right, let's leave it there. Both of you, I really appreciate your knowledge and your passion. Coming up,